Alright, one more hit and I should be in Clever Rat's range. There we are. Let's see the damage. Alright, Club's finally pumping out some damage. There we go. Come on, King Allant. Come on, let's finish strong, baby. Come on, a few more. Come on, man. I did not just die to King Allant. Squid version. Welcome to Family Gaming. We're going to be seeing how you can go through Demon's Souls with the club. There are two versions of this club. There's the club and there's the great club. We're going to try to be doing both. So we start with the barbarian class because they indeed start with the club. In fact, they start with two. So take your pick on which club and start swinging away. Now, as we run through Boletaria, we are going to go over a few things, the good, the bad, and the ugly of this run. The good, it is pretty much just all strength. You don't really have to pick and choose how you want to play this game. It's pretty simple when you're just using clubs. They only scale from strength. So you pump everything into strength and your health and a little endurance if you really want to. But that's pretty much it. That's the good part. The other good part is these things cannot be upgraded. Why I say that's good is because you don't have to run around and try to find a bunch of stones. Now let's move on to the bad. The bad part is these can't be upgraded, which means your damage really isn't going to change throughout the run. You start off decent. They both pump out decent damage for starter weapons, but outside of that, it pretty much sucks. The other terrible thing about these, and I really do mean terrible, is that they can also not be buffed. Pine resin or black pine resin, the magic slime, none of that stuff works on either the club or the great club. Now let's get into the ugly. The ugly is a mix of all of it. You have a good starter weapon. The great club does scale A with strength, which does seem like it would be pretty good. But in all actuality, because it can actually be upgraded, it's not that great. I think by the end of the game, the great club was doing 210-ish damage, and my strength ends at 75, I believe. So, not terrible, but not great. That's why it's in the ugly section. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoy this run using the clubs. We're going to, of course, beat the Phalanx. You will see my character scratch her ass when she tries to use the pine resin, just as proof that it does not work. Now, as this run goes on, I do show all of my deaths. One I put in the beginning against the slime version of King Allant, and I do die, I think 3 times in total, which is pretty good, but because I'm able to use extra souls and basically I eat every soul I come across, including all the big demon ones, I do have a bunch of souls to also level up health, which does help quite a bit. We also decided that survivability was the greatest way to go, so we end up grabbing the Adjudicator Shield as well as the Regeneration Ring, which are both found in the same location in 4-1, I think is what it is. The area with all the skeletons. You know what I'm talking about.
My thanks for your brave rescue.
I won't bore you guys to tears, but as you can see with the regular club, you do get some good damage in the beginner level. When we get the only upgrade we can get in the great club, you'll see the damage go up just a little bit, but then the damage definitely tapers off. And when it tapers off, you can really tell the struggle in the fights because they take forever. I can't do anything else to get my weapon damage AR up except for level up strength, but I didn't want to become 99 strength right from the beginning, so I didn't do too much farming or anything like that to make this run any easier. I decided to struggle and then I decided to post it. After the Phalanx is dead, you unlock the rest of the worlds. So here in 2-1, when you run through the mine, you will come across where there's this bridge that breaks on you, and this is where you can find the Great Club. As you can see here, the club is 75 damage, the Great Club is 100, right from the rip, and it does have an A scaling in strength, as I mentioned earlier. With that being said, that is pretty much the build. Wear whatever armor you want, although the Great Club is a little bit heavier, so if you don't want a fat man roll, you should probably wear something light. Other than that, the run is up for you to go and beat these demons and do as you wish. Just a quick little side note, this gray demon here, I used to think he was pretty hard, but if you stay behind him, let him jump and smack him in his booty cheeks, and then go behind him again, he just repeats the same move. So you can just keep smacking him in his booty cheeks. And now I do know about the skip, and you're going to watch me fail until I get the skip, which I eventually do get, so I can get the regeneration ring and skip the whole level. Riveting stuff. We dodged this giant spear shooter with perfection to pick up a ring that we're never actually going to use. Then, of course, you run up the longest pair of steps. Then you run across the longest hallway just to come across this thing here that you have to kill, or else he'll just keep reviving the magic lady. We then come across an NPC fight, and I realized that when you use the big club, you can just keep smacking NPCs. This becomes important later, as we all know you have to fight an old man robe. We sprint across a bridge after a dragon lights it on fire. That leads up to the boss. We don't have to do anything else, so we don't even bother freeing Ostrava. He's a bum anyway and doesn't help us fight. This guy here is blind, so if you put on the Thief's Ring, you can just run up to him freely and beat him with whatever weapon of your choice. But be careful, he'll wildly swing, and when he swings, it does hurt. Earlier in the run, we unlocked this guy from his cell because he sells us the kunai, which are poisonous blades that you can throw, which means I can keep the spirit alive, that I keep the club in my hand while I fight a giant stingray. Now, here's the big mamma jamma, and as you can see, the club is still in my hand. Usually you have to grab the storm ruler. If you use a melee build, if you have a range build, it doesn't matter anyway, you can just hit them. But as a melee user, you have to grab storm ruler in order to actually hit that big mamma jamma. But you can throw these poisonous darts right at his face, and he will become poisoned until he dies. The Stingray's health bar is actually not very big, so it actually doesn't take too long for him to then be vanquished. Now let's go see that sword that we couldn't use. The damage is definitely starting to taper off at this point, but I'll give this weapon one thing. It has hyper armor when you swing, which does come in handy that you're not interrupted all the time. But anyway, we bash these old guys, it drops the heart, and then it unlocks the way to the man-eaters. I want you guys to look at this. Look how far away I am. And look, it still hit me. How long does that AoE reach? The dumbest creature ever. Anyway, here's the man-eater. The object is always to kill the first one before the second one comes, if possible. We do our best, but it comes anyway. And then he hits us off the bridge. Shame. Anyway, second attempt. The other man-eater came but decided to stay away, which was great. So we dwindled down the first one, and then worked our way over to the second one. It was basically a one-on-one fight, which I enjoy. Here's the old man's bathrobes that I told you about earlier. It does count as an NPC, so you can flatten him like a pancake. Riveting stuff. as always, everyone's not favorite boss, the Lurker. I was fearing fighting him, but he got himself stuck. Don't worry, this didn't happen the whole fight, but it was enough that I could get some chip shots and whittle his damage down, whittle his health down with my little damage. Just enough that I could finish the fight. Congratulations, Demon God, you died to a stick. Now to Blighttown. We decided that we were going to skip pretty much everything here except for these two little pops. As you can see, the damage of the club is not good. Hence why we're going to skip the whole place. Now, Garl, Vinland, and we kept trading hits until one of us eventually died. We agreed that we weren't going to heal. Oh, come on, Garl. Alright, healing's allowed. So, back to trading blows, and we'll see who wins in the end. Once Garl is dead, we have to take a trudge through the plague, but you guys know what happens to her, so let's save her the embarrassment. We had to kill this fat blob to get a key, so we beat him down, but he kind of just laughed at us. So we hit him again, and he laughed some more. What a creepy guy. So we beat his brother down in the same manner, but he also laughed at us. What a creepy family. And then we went to kill him, but he died a little easier. So he was impaled by the penetrator, and then we were penetrated by the impaler. Yikes. We got wombo comboed by an old man, but we were able to recover. And then we got wombo comboed again by the same old man, but we couldn't recover. But luckily I have infinite lives, and I just came back with the big old club and smacked him around until he died. Take that, daddy. Then I asked Amazing Feet Picks here if I could marry her, but she said we had to take the polar plunge first, or she wouldn't even consider it. We wake up to see this disgusting slug, but I decided that, you know what, I got the Clever Rats ring. Hopefully we don't make the same mistake twice, but we're going to let him dwindle our health down a little bit until we get into Clever Rats ring range, and then we're going to wombo combo this slug. And with that, we beat Demon Souls with just the 2 clubs, unupgradable clubs, unbuffable clubs. It was horrendous, but the run actually wasn't too long because I didn't have to stop for upgrades and all that stuff. It did save some time. By the way, the lady that comes up here, the Amazing Feet Picks, she said no. Sorry, lady. Alright, everybody, thanks for watching another episode of Family Gaming. You guys take care.